It's Debatable with Mark Gray here on MLBBro.com.
What's up, folks? It's Debatable, where we debate, deliberate, and pontificate on all things baseball related in the Black community. I'm your host, Mark Gray, joined today by two of the coolest, including former Detroit Tigers outfielder and broadcaster. And even though he didn't bring that 1984 World Championship ring, I will kiss it nonetheless. My man, Rod Allen, thank you for joining us here on Debatable this week.
Hey, what's going on? How are you? Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, it's truly our pleasure. And then, of course, there is the voice of one Debatable. And, of course, there's the voice of MLBBro.com. He is Telly Hughes. That's right. So for all intents and purposes, he's like James Earl Jones in Field of Dreams around here. Just say it for me, Telly. Say it. Say baseball.
Baseball.
See, look at it, dude. You're just killing me, man. Anyway, it's great. Isn't that cool? And that's what we're here to talk about. The cool things, such as how do we get baseball cool again? So, Rod, I'm going to start with you because I think you played in an era where baseball was really cool. You know, you had a lot of black faces on the field. You had a lot of black people in the stands. So I'm going to ask you this. How do we make it cool for black folks again?
You know, I think baseball is taking some steps in trying to make sure the game is affordable for everybody to play, and the game is being seen by everyone. If you look at, you know, some of the stars in the game today, whether it be Fernando Tatis, whether it be Lindor, whether it be some of the other darker players in the league, even though they may not be African-American brothers, they're still brothers. And I think that the light is shining very bright on a lot of those players. And I think because of that, I think, younger players are starting to see that and starting to gravitate more to the game. When I came up in the game in 1977, we had about 25% African-Americans on the major league roster. Obviously, those numbers have dwindled, but I do see the numbers coming back up because Major League Baseball is doing a much better job in hiring African-American players that have played the game before, bringing them back into the game, and putting them in organizations to help along some of the African-American kids that are there now, which there wasn't that there before.
Telly, you represent that generation they're trying to reach out to. Where's the disconnect? How do we make it cool for you guys?
I think the disconnect comes when you don't have a superstar or the next coming, so to speak. I mean, there are no Barry Bondses that are coming up. There are no Ken Griffey Jr.'s that we know of that's 18, 19, that has an opportunity to break into the big leagues. It may take something, I won't say catastrophic, but very monumental in terms of a big-time superstar choosing baseball over the other sports. I mean, you've had Kyler Murray, you've had Jameis Winston, you've had guys that have played two sports, but when it was time to pick a sport, they chose the other one over baseball. And I think that a lot of times they see the instant gratification. A lot of young guys don't want to go through the minor leagues and go through the things that it takes to become a professional athlete when you only have to go to college for 1 year or G League or whatever the case may be in those other sports. And then bam, by the time you turn 20, you're a millionaire. Whereas in baseball, everyone has to put their time in the minor leagues, and it's not that instant gratification, even though there's more money in the long game and it's more guaranteed money in the long game. So I think when baseball players and guys that are interested in the sport realizes that, then I think the interest would pick up. But I think as of now, you're competing with the other sports that have the instant gratification. And I mean, you can't think of the last, as we're talking about the topic, super cool baseball player. I mean, up into the early 2000s, you had Dontrell Willis that was coming with his hat crooked and the big, leg kick. But I mean, you don't have that black superstar that MLB is pushing, because anytime you look to baseball, it's Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, and nothing against those guys. They are spectacular superstars in the game of baseball. But I mean, for a guy like Mookie Betts that has won an MVP, you rarely hear baseball pushing him to the forefront to be an ambassador to the game.
Or see him
You know,
in endorsements. Go
I
ahead,
will
Rod.
say this, just to play off of what Telly had said there about Dontrell Willis being back in the sport. Major League Baseball in the last 3 months has done a major hiring a lot of African American, whether it be Mike Hill, who worked in the front office with the Florida Marlins for a number of years, Bo Porter, who was a manager in Houston, also broadcaster, now working in the front office, Raul Ibanez, Rajay Davis. They've hired guys like Coco Crisp and Derek May to run this developmental league, the draft league that they started. So Major League Baseball has recognized that all those players, Coco Crisp with the big fro, Dontrell Willis with the leg kick, I mean, they are trying to show that you can play this game and have fun by bringing back a lot of these guys and putting them in the game and putting them in positions where they have access to African-American kids that are playing the game. But I think what question you're asking is, how do you get those kids at a lot younger age so they're involved in baseball?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mark. I just want to piggyback on that just for a second. I know you want to get to your next question, but I mean, the great late Joe Morgan was trying to push this years ago when they started academies in the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and these other countries, these Caribbean countries and islands, where you had inner city kids right here in the United States that can't find a baseball league to play in. I mean, fortunately for me, when I was growing up, there was a Jackie Robinson Corey League, there was Little League, there was all type of opportunities to go play baseball. Whereas now, if you want to just, like, if you have a 10-year-old son that wants to wake up and go play baseball, you have to jump through hoops to find him an organization to go play in. So they don't have the academies that these other countries have, where I think that was kind of the disconnect and made more people go and gravitate to other sports. Because I guarantee every baseball player, past and present, that was a superstar, I'm sure they were really good in another sport, but they chose baseball.
Yeah, legends like Dave Winfield were two-sport guys back in the day. Rod can remember that.
MLBBro.com, covering black and brown major leaguers.